Hello, and welcome to Conquering Insomnia, Session 6. My name is Dr. Godot, and I'm preventive care specialist with Beaver Medical Group in the Health Education Department. Today we are going to discuss developing stress-reducing, sleep-enhancing attitudes and beliefs. We're going to review the CBT-I techniques that we have learned in the previous sessions, and then we're going to discuss relapse prevention. So when it comes to managing stress, it is important that we use a combination of the three techniques. Cognitive restructuring, changing our thoughts about sleep, which we discussed in session 1. The relaxation response, which we covered in classes 3 and 4, where we talked about ways in which we can relax our body and how if we relax our body, our mind follows. And then we're also going to discuss some stress-resistant attitudes and beliefs. By combining stress-resistant attitudes and beliefs with the relaxation response and cognitive restructuring, you will have a powerful approach to minimize the adverse effects of stress on sleep. Now, what are some of the benefits of having these positive attitudes? Well, optimistic people tend to focus on and expect positive outcomes. They are looking at the glass half full as opposed to half empty. They expect the best even when faced with uncertainty. They are positive about the future and they remember successes better than they remember their failures. They also tend to live a lot longer. They tend to get married and remain married. They tend to be more successful in their careers as well as make more money. They also tend to be more energetic. So there was a Harvard study where they tracked men for 30 years, and these men were in the classes of 1939 to 1944. And they measured their optimism and pessimism levels at about 25 years old. And their pessimistic mean at age 25, 30 years later, was associated with poorer health and more chronic illness. So studies are showing, not just this one, but many studies show that our attitudes, our beliefs actually affect our health and our length of life. So optimistic people tend to view setbacks as temporary. I always say a setback is a setup for a comeback. They avoid generalizing a problem to their entire life. So just because this one particular thing is happening doesn't mean that it affects or that it has to affect your entire life. They also avoid blaming themselves for things that are outside of their control. They use and they receive optimistic affirmations. And then they seek out other people who are positive and they avoid people who are negative, because being positive and being negative are contagious. And I love this quote. It says, at the end of the day, you can focus on what's tearing you apart, or you can focus on what's holding you together. No man is an island, so take the time to devote time to your family and friends. These are one of those behaviors that can really make a difference in your the happiness factor, how happy you are in life. Studies suggest that relationships provide the strongest meaning and purpose to your life. Friends and family can help you celebrate life successes, and they can also support you during the difficult times in life. But relationships do need nurturing. So speak kind words and participate in actions and deeds that are kind and that are good. Don't be so critical, and let people know how much you appreciate them. And then when you can, if you're in an area too, especially where you don't have a lot of family nearby, or you just move somewhere and you need to make friends, well, join groups, clubs, or community organizations that interest you. There's so many different clubs and different organizations that are have all kinds of different interests that you may be wanting to be a member of, or that maybe you can add to, your expertise you can add to. And also getting a pet. Great company, great as far as unconditional love, someone that you can care for. So getting a pet is a great way too to have more meaningful relationships in your life. And then how often do you laugh? Many of us do not laugh enough. Norman Cousins, which I'm sure you might be familiar with, he believed that he cured himself of arthritis just by using laughter. He discovered that just 10 minutes of hard laughter had a pain-relieving effect, and it also helped him to improve his sleep. So how you view a situation, for example, sleep, how you go into it, determines how you respond to it. It'll determine if you're responding to it as threatening or challenging. Humor gives us a different perspective on our problems. If we can make light of the situation, it is no longer threatening to us, and we've already discounted its power. So what can we do to laugh more, to relax more, to just have fun? Get in touch with your inner child. So go play, go do fun things. Do those things that when you were a kid you enjoyed doing so much. So if it's skating, or if it's going go-kart riding, or if it's painting, or if it's just going to walks through theme parks or through museums, whatever it may be, but just go play. And if you have children, play with your children or your grandchildren. If you don't have children, ask if you can help babysit one of your friends' kids, and just smile and have fun. It's kind of hard to be depressed and down when you're around children. And smile. Your facial expressions can elicit corresponding emotions. So how you hold your face, even how you hold your body, that plays into how you feel. If you're keeping your legs crossed or your arms folded and you're just kind of sitting there with a mean face, that will affect how the rest of your body feels. So try relaxing your body more, allowing yourself to smile. It'll actually help you feel a little happier. And then find one humorous thing to do a day. Life is full of just laughable moments. There's just always these moments where you just could laugh, but maybe you just dismiss it or you don't laugh. But give yourself permission to just laugh, to let go and enjoy life. And then build a humor library. I have a drawer in my office where when you open that drawer, I have CDs, or I have a DVD of a comedian that makes me laugh. It's just a drawer where if I need a pick-me-up, I need a little boost, it's just my little drawer of happiness. So you can have a drawer in your home or in your office or even in the glove compartment of your car, just full of things that just make you laugh when you need a little pick-me-up. Or even if you don't need a pick-me-up, just taking the time to just laugh. Go to humor comedy shows, or see funny movies, or watch funny shows. My husband and I, we love to go to live stand-up to watch comedians. It's a great way to just laugh. And then access your humor network. Hopefully we all know someone who can make us smile or laugh at just the mere thought of his or her name. So access that person, call that person, spend more time with that person. Because like I said earlier, optimism, happy people, it's contagious. And people who are pessimistic or down all the time, or those who live with a black cloud over their heads, that can rub off too. And so I'm sure you've heard the old saying, association leads to assimilation. Who you hang out with the most affects your mood and your demeanor. So if you're trying to be a happier, healthier person, try to spend time around people who are happier and healthier and positive as well. And then another way that we can improve our mood or have a happier, healthier life, and all this again plays into our sleep at night. How we feel during the day affects our stress at night. So one of the quickest way they say that we can get out of depression is by doing something nice for someone else. Doing something good, whether it's directly or indirectly, whether it's anonymously or just something spontaneously or planned, but just paying it forward, doing something kind. So whether it's paying for the groceries of the person behind you, or paying for the meal of somebody that's in the drive-through behind you. Or I have a friend that when she sees homeless people on the street, instead of giving them money, she keeps $5 gift cards in her car or on her person. So when she sees people, she gives them those $5 gift cards where they can go and get something to eat, or they can go to a store and get any toiletries that they need. But just do something kind, do something meaningful for someone else. And they call it the helper's high. Even though it means so much to the person that you took time out just to do something for them, it actually makes you feel good when you see, hey, I just made that individual smile. And some people will say, well, I don't have the money to do those things or pay for somebody else. That's okay. But it could just mean as you're walking out of the door, out of this grocery store or department store, that you leave the door, you hold the door for the next person coming through. It makes a difference. It makes them smile. Or that you speak to everybody that you walk past, or that you smile to everybody, or that you volunteer your time. There are places that you can go where I have one client who actually goes to the library, and she volunteers to read to the children. So there's so many things that we can do to help ourselves by just helping other people. So let's do a review of all the techniques that we have learned so far. The first one in session 1, we learned about negative sleep thoughts, or NSTs, how they have a forceful effect of making us feel anxious, stressed, or frustrated. And when we have those negative thoughts, it actually aggravates insomnia because it starts the stress response. So if I go into the bedroom thinking, oh, here we go again, I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. Well, you're right. You've already lost that battle. That negative thinking will contribute to your insomnia and you will not go to sleep. Or if you wake up in the middle of the night and you see the clock says 1 o'clock again, here I am, I'm awake again, you're not going to be able to go back to sleep because, again, just that negative sleep thought, just those negative conversations we're having in our head contributes to insomnia. So it's very important as our foundation. The first thing that we needed to do when it comes to conquering insomnia is changing those negative sleep thoughts that we have towards the bed. It's one of the most powerful techniques to improve our sleep quality and quantity. To maximize improvement in your sleep, you must learn to consistently recognize and replace those negative sleep thoughts and choose to use more accurate sleep thoughts about sleep. And I gave you a whole list of sleep thoughts that you can use. If you can't think of any, there's a whole list that you can use that are found in session 1. And then in session 2, we talked about sleep scheduling, how there are certain things that we need to do to help us have a better night's sleep. So we talked about prior wakefulness, that the greater the amount of prior wakefulness, meaning the earlier one rises and the later one goes to bed, the greater the brain's pressure for sleep and the better we sleep. So we want to get out of bed around the same time every single day, and that includes weekends. So we don't sleep in at all because sleeping in actually affects our ability to be able to go to sleep later on in the evening. So no matter how little or how poorly we slept the night before, we still choose to get up at the same time every single day. And then next, we wanted to reduce the time that we were in bed so that it closely matches the amount of sleep you're averaging per night. So if you find that you're averaging about 5 or 6 hours of sleep per night, then you should initially only be in the bed for that amount of time. So instead of going to bed early at 9 or 10, trying to make yourself go to sleep, but you don't fall asleep until 12, you go to bed a little later to match the time that you're actually going to sleep, because you want that bed to be a cue for sleep and not a cue for staying awake. And then week 3, we talked about the stimulus control technique and how important it was for us to associate the bed with drowsiness and sleep. So for example, when you go into a movie theater, automatically you think of the popcorn, because usually movie theater popcorn is associated with the movie. So we wanted to do the same thing with our bedroom. We walk into the bedroom, we automatically associate it with going to sleep. So we talked about the fact that we can't force sleep. No matter how much you try to go to sleep, it actually makes it worse. It's kind of like that negative sleep thought. It triggers more physical and mental arousal, so it backfires on us. So if you try to go to sleep, you're actually making your insomnia worse. We talked about using the bedroom for 3 things only: sleep, sex, and relaxation only. We only use the bedroom to go to sleep, for sexual activity, and to relax. We do not use the bedroom to watch television, to work on any assignments or work that we did get done during the day, to study or to talk on the phone or to argue or discuss things with our spouse. No, the bedroom is only for sleep, sex, and relaxation response only. And then you want to go to bed only when you feel drowsy. Many times people will try to go to bed when their spouse goes to bed, or they go to bed because the clock says 11 o'clock and we should go to bed, or they go to bed because the news just went off and that's the trigger that, hey, this is the time to go to bed. No, that will trigger your insomnia because you may not even be sleepy at that time, and so you'll lie in bed tossing and turning, having negative sleep thoughts, trying to force sleep, which makes it even worse. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So if you do all that again, once again, it will not work and you'll have another restless night. So go to bed only when you feel drowsy. And then lastly, don't lie in bed tossing and turning. If you find that after 20 minutes of sleep or 30 minutes of sleep that you can't fall back to sleep, then get up, go to a chair in your room, or ideally go to another room, because that bed should only be, and that bedroom should only be a place for sleep. So after 30 minutes, if you find that you cannot go to sleep, you go into another room, participate in some type of light activity until you are feeling drowsy, and then you come back into the bedroom where you try another sleep attempt. But do not remain in bed after 30 minutes of tossing and turning. That's actually more detrimental to your quality of sleep. So we talked about that same week, the relaxation response, and how in the bedroom sometimes we find that our mind is wandering and we just cannot seem to relax because we're worried about the cares for the day, or we're worried about the cares for tomorrow. So we talked about how we can induce stage 1 sleep by participating in the relaxation response. So during that week, I walked you through what the technique what it consists of. And it does, we want to make sure when we're doing it, we have a quiet, comfortable room, and we're in a position that feels relaxing to us, and we're relaxing every muscle group in our body. We are having a relaxed breathing pattern, and we're directing our attention from everyday thoughts to focusing on a device or a word, or I like to visualize a place. I like to visualize myself at Black Sand Beach in Hawaii, and I use that as a way to relax myself. And ideally, you don't try to relax. There's no such thing. Do not try to relax, and don't worry about if you're relaxing. Allow it to come naturally. And if you find that as you're relaxing, you have different thoughts that may come into your brain, making it difficult, that's okay. You just remind yourself to gently remove those thoughts and allow yourself to be present in the moment. You don't have to empty your mind, but it is something where you don't want the worries or the cares or stresses of life to enter in as you're trying to relax. So as you're picturing your relaxing place, or if you're stating your word calm or peace or home, whatever word you're choosing to state over and over, and those thoughts come in, that's okay. Just do your best to dismiss them and focus on your particular tool that you're using. And then we talked about some lifestyle practices that we can do to help us manage our sleep. We talked about exercise, how it promotes a significant rise and fall in our body temperature, and by participating in 30 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity within 3 to 6 hours of bedtime will actually help us to get better night's rest. We also talked about how taking a hot bath causes a rise and fall in our body temperature as well. So taking a hot bath for 20 to 25 minutes, 2 hours before bedtime, will help us to have better sleep. And then we discussed the 2 different types of insomnia during week 1, and then in week 5 we discussed how different types of exposure to light can help with decreasing sleep onset insomnia and sleep maintenance insomnia. So sleep onset insomnia is difficulty falling asleep initially, and so by increasing our exposure to bright light in the early morning, our body temperature will rise earlier and then fall earlier at night, making it so much easier for us to fall asleep. And then also for those of us who suffer from sleep maintenance sleep, meaning we have difficulty staying asleep, we wake up frequently during the middle of the night, we would like to increase our exposure more so to bright light in the evening to minimize those early morning awakenings. And this delays the body's temperature so that it doesn't rise as soon. Additionally, we talked about avoiding caffeine, nicotine, and even alcohol before bed. We talked about eating more complex carbohydrates because it actually promotes sleep, and that foods high in sugar disrupt sleep. So foods high in sugar, like your white rice, your white pastas, white bread, your pastries, your candy, your sodas, anything high in sugar is going to actually disturb sleep. And then also how we should avoid protein snacks in the hour or two before bedtime, because they block the synthesis of serotonin and may actually increase alertness. And then ideally, we want to keep our bedroom cool, and we want to minimize bedroom noise. And then sometimes, for whatever reason, you just have noises outside. I know and in our neighborhood, we have quite a few dogs sometimes barking that may keep us up at night. So we'll have a white noise playing in the background to help us sleep. You also want to be careful of having music or the TV on as you fall asleep. If you must have the TV on in order to fall asleep, or you must have music on, you want to set a timer so that it goes off within 45 minutes. If not, then it's going to make it virtually impossible for you to go into deep sleep. Also, too, you want to keep your bedroom dark. And also, if you sleep with a partner who is restless, it is suggested that you sleep and switch to a bigger bed, or maybe even going to twin beds so that your sleep is not disturbed. And you want your bedding to be comfortable and provide all the necessary support that you need. So what can we do to prevent us from relapsing back to our insomnia? Well, we want to make sure that we avoid watching the clock or counting down the time. I know I will cover my clock so that it does not contribute to me staying awake, because sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the night and you see what time it is, or you see that it's close to the time that you have to wake up, then it's difficult to fall asleep because of that mental arousal. So cover your clock. I talk about this in my classes, and everyone who does this, they say that it makes a huge difference in their ability to fall right back to sleep. You also want to avoid stimulating activities right before you go to bed. So make sure you are doing tasks that are mentally quiet. So you want to avoid watching maybe high crime shows or watching the news right before going to bed if you find that it actually does not relax you. Worries may actually surface when the house is quiet and dark. But this is not a good time for us to problem solve. Instead, set aside time earlier in the day to focus on troubleshooting issues, not at night. You can use the relaxation response, which we learned about in week 3 and 4. You can use that technique to help you reduce tension and initiate your sleep. And then, just like children have a pre-sleep ritual where initially you may have them brush their teeth, you may read them a story, you may have them do their prayers, and you tuck them in. Adults can benefit from a pre-sleep ritual as well. So have a sleep ritual that you do every night to prepare your body and your mind, letting it know that it's time for sleep. And then set a consistent bedtime and wake time to prepare the body for sleep. This is one of the most important behavioral recommendations to improve sleep, is to go to bed at the same time every single night and wake up at the same time every day. That makes a huge difference. When it's inconsistent, when you just kind of go whenever you're going to go or get up whenever you want to get up, that contributes to insomnia. So as you can see, we have learned so many different techniques over the course of the 6 sessions, and I hope you enjoyed all 6 sessions. In this session, we went over developing sleep, reducing sleep, enhancing attitudes and beliefs. We also reviewed all of the techniques from the previous session, and then we discussed how to prevent relapse. So thank you so much for participating in today's online course. I hope you enjoyed this session as well as all the other sessions. Again, there are 6 sessions total. If you would like a list of our future online courses emailed to you, please contact Vanessa Arlardo at 909-335-4131. Thank you and have a great day.